Hello everyone and welcome to episode 17 of the Six Sided Podcast. I'm your host, the Taxman, and I want to kick off the show actually with a couple of congratulations I got to throw out. So one is big congratulations to my bro, Robert Does Wrestling. He hit 300 subscribers on his YouTube page, which is actually so huge. So he is actually going to be doing a Q&A session. That show will be airing on Sunday. That'll be July the 15th. And anybody interested, you can send him some questions. Use the hashtag AskRobert3. That's the number 3, not 3 the word, not tree, not trizzy, nothing like that. It's hashtag AskRobert3. And hit him with some bangers. Let's give him something to really sink his teeth into and enjoy that episode that he's going to be gracing us with. So once again, congratulations to Robert. If you are not subscribed to him or following him, he does incredible content, incredible coverage of Impact Wrestling through both his reviews and his live casts, and also the work that he does with the heel cast is spot on. And speaking about tremendous talent, good friends of mine at Just Because Wrestling, they just had their 1-year anniversary show, and that was a heck of a show to listen to. If you haven't listened to them before, I highly suggest it. I'm going to add their tag onto the first post for this show on Twitter. But they're two lads from Ireland, and they have such an interesting... I'm going to say it's an interesting dynamic. I've never heard two people agree, fight, argue, hate each other, and come back to agreeing in the span of one show as much as they do. And I get a kick out of it. I honestly listen to them. I have a smile on my face the whole time. So once again, happy anniversary, happy 1-year anniversary to my good friends at Just Because Wrestling. Also this week, I want to give a quick shout out. We've had a ton of new subscribers to our YouTube page. Some of them I'm going to give a shout out to right now because I can. So I want to give a shout out to Ethan Thompson. I'm going to mess this one up so bad, but Eshen Munch 2000. Sorry, I'm sure I brutally ruined that one, but you'll know who you are. Yamahal Francis, as well as Eli Drizake. Thank you all for coming aboard. Once again, if you subscribe to our YouTube page, I give you a shout out at the start of the next available show. And speaking of which, if you are a new subscriber to our channel and your profile is set to private, therefore I can't see who you are, if you shoot me a message, I will obviously make sure to get you your shout out at the beginning of the next available show. So, as they say, we're going to keep the good times rolling, and I'm going to launch right into the review for this week's episode of Impact Wrestling. So the night kicks off with the LAX OGs versus, well, not really versus as much as it was an absolute obliteration of a tag team, which I actually missed the names of. I don't even think they mentioned the names. If they did and I missed it, I apologize, but essentially, this match was just to reintroduce the OG LAX to all the fans and introduce new Impact fans to what these guys are all about. And that's about just destroying people, taking no prisoners. Man, just a really impressive re-debut, if you will. And I gotta say, Homicide looks insane. And Hernandez, too. Just, these guys are jacked. They look good. This is just vintage LAX, just like I said, taking no prisoners. And after the match, we had Kingston hit the ring and basically let us all know that coming up at Slammiversary, we're going to have an LAX OG versus an LAX Young Boy 51-50 street fight. So for all those keeping score at home, to add to the craziness that is the card of Slammiversary, we now have a House of Hardcore match. We have the 4-way X Division match. We have the hair versus mask match. And now we have a 51-50 street fight. So looking forward to the Slammiversary card. You're adding crazy on top of crazy at this point. And I just couldn't be happier about it. So once again, a great reintroduction to everybody who maybe was sleeping on LAX for a bit. You definitely are not anymore, that's for sure. Our next match up, we had the Impact debut, I should say, of Shotzi Blackheart versus Allie. Now, I thought that this is a pretty good match, and I haven't seen a whole lot of Shotzi Blackheart, so for me, this was a really good litmus test for her, putting her in the ring against somebody like Allie. I really enjoyed a lot of the moves that she was pulling. She seems to me like she's one of these knockouts who can make the other opponent look good. Like the way that she was selling for Allie, I thought was incredible, and the way that she would take a bump, like hit the mat and everything, just everything about her, I really did enjoy this in this match. I would say I don't really agree with Allie picking up the win in this match, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Allie did end up winning the match, and I don't really agree with that. I don't know that Allie needed to win this match, and I think it would have made a bigger statement or impact, for lack of a better term, if Shotzi would have came in, beat a proven veteran like Allie, rather than doing the standard route of somebody comes in, they wrestle a jobber and they kind of move on from there. I would have rather Shotzi Blackheart pick up the win here over Allie rather than what they did, although, I've been known to be proven wrong a few times. I'm sure that there's a plan going forward with Shotzi Blackheart, and I really do hope so, because, I was very impressed watching her move in the ring. What can I say? I was very impressed by her debut. Mostly for the way that she moved in the ring. Her actual wrestling prowess was very much evident to me here, and I really did enjoy the match. But like I said, I thought that she should have won it, just based on everything, but anyways, that's my 2 cents on the matter. So after the match, we had Tessa Blanchard come out and absolutely obliterate Allie. This obviously is setting up their match for Slammiversary. And I thought that this was a great showing for Tessa. Just what I wanted to see out of her coming into this whole run in Impact was her just being that monster, that calculated, killer, for lack of a better term. And things like this are exactly what I wanted to see out of her, and I am very much looking forward to what she can do on the big pay-per-view stage. So following a couple of promos, followed by an in-ring segment featuring D'Angelo Williams giving an update on Moose and summarily being dismissed by Austin Aries, we have our third match of the night, and that would be Grado versus Eli Drake. And by the way, it's nice to see Eli Drake back on television, and also nice to hear that he signed a long-term contract extension with Impact Wrestling. Homegrown talent like him, who the fans can really get behind, are the kind of guys that they need to keep around. So I'm very glad that they were able to come to an agreement, both Eli Drake and Impact Wrestling. So this match was kind of what I expected it to be. Not so much about Eli Drake and Grado having a match, but more so furthering the story with Joe Henry being a part of the company. Joe Henry was in the corner of Grado with Katrina, and Eli Drake picks up the win over Grado with the gravy train, and afterwards kind of starts planting some seeds, if you will, about perhaps Joe Henry's intentions with Grado's girlfriend Katarina. So we will definitely see where this one goes, but like I said, it was nice to see Eli Drake back in the ring, and you could tell the crowd was all about it. Although I will say, I'm not sure what happened with the audio on this match itself. It seemed like it was real crisp, and maybe I'm just being nitpicky here, but it seemed real crisp throughout the show until this match. And then it kind of went, I don't know, flat or dull. Maybe you guys noticed it too, maybe not, or maybe I'm just, being, good old tax man and just off in Never Neverland. But yeah, I just thought it was a bit odd anyways, but we will definitely see where this whole Joe Henry, Grado, Katarina triangle goes moving forward. And lastly, in our main event of the evening, we have a 6-man tag match, Lucha Rules match actually, OVE with Sami Callihan versus Pentagon JR, Fenix, and Rich Swann. And last week, I had made it a big point of how they are having these pay-per-view quality matches as their main events. We saw it last week with Kongo Kong and Brian Cage, and previous to that, like we've seen Pentagon and Sami Callihan, right? Like, they just keep up in the game. And this week, Jesus Christ, like, I've said it before, I'm not a big luchador style fan, but my God, I can respect the hell out of a match like this. Like, I was almost speechless watching this thing. Like, I cannot believe, first off, the trust that all of these guys have with each other must be real high, because there's a ton of instances in this match where somebody could have been paralyzed for life. Like, it was ridiculous, like, in a good way. Like, watching this match was just, I couldn't almost believe what I was seeing. Whether it was the super kick spots or all the cutter spots, the Jake Chris catching Rich Swann off the top rope with the cutter was insane. And not only that, that Zero Fear package pile driver that Pentagon JR delivered on Sami Callihan with Fenix jumping off the top rope and delivering the double stomp was just like, it was incredible. Or the Jake Chris superplexing Rich Swann off the top into the crowd of people below was like, just, this match had everything that you could ask for in this style of match, and it was on TV. Like, it's insane. There are pay-per-view matches, main event, I should specify. There are main event pay-per-view matches on other promotions or in other promotions or on other pay-per-views, even if you want to go with that stack up nowhere near to this. Like, everything about this was so well done, well executed. The crowd was into it. And how refreshing is it that we have an Impact Wrestling? Like, it shows you the change in the philosophy of the fans watching the show, right? You don't see a big move done and the crowd is flatter than a plate full of piss, right? You're not wondering, like, are we watching the same thing, right? You're not sitting at home going, what is wrong with this crowd? They're deader than my fucking sperm count is. Like, in a match like this, they were just like, they were all over it. They made a great match, which this was a great match, don't get me wrong, even better by them being engaged, by them chanting at the same time, or at proper times. They're not trying to hijack the show and all that nonsense you kind of see in other promotions, right? They're with it. It's just really a treat to see, and hats off to the fans, first off, for the energy that they're bringing to these matches. It truly is a treat to see at home that fans there care as much or more than myself, the viewer, or you guys watching at home. It's just so nice to see. And it must be real nice for the wrestlers itself that they can go out, have an insane match like this. And by the way, OVE does end up picking the win. Rich Swann actually takes the pin, which makes sense for me moving forward in the whole grand scheme of things with these 6 individuals. Just how good it must feel for the wrestlers to be in an environment like this where the fans care. Like, how nice is it that they care? They're watching the match. They're invested. You look in the crowd, you don't see anybody on their phone. Nobody's leaving for a washroom break, right? There's no, like I said, there's no hijacking. The crowd's not making it about them. They're making it about the moment, and the wrestlers are in that moment. And it's so nice to see. And such a departure from what we're used to seeing in quite a few different promotions. So, once again, I will say hats off to the fans. Hats off to Impact Wrestling just for putting on just another stellar show. Like, last week, I thought they knocked it out of the park, 100%. This week didn't fall very short at all. And if you want to go main event to main event, Jesus, like, what more could you ask for? I'm not going to get into a whole, star rating thing. That's obviously not what I do, but, like, what else can you say? What more do you want from a wrestling show? And I've specifically only talked about the matches on this show like I normally do on my shows, but I'm also going to talk about as well their video packages and the way that they're just this is how a perfect example of how you can further stories without showcasing wrestlers every week so the fans get tired of it. In this episode specifically, you had them touch on the Eddie Edwards and Tommy Dreamer House of Hardcore match coming up at Slammiversary without them being featured on the card, right? You had Moose doing they were showing basically his training, getting ready for his match against Austin Aries, right? You can have people behind Moose without having Moose there. You can have, at the end of the night tonight, you had kind of an eerie setting where the undead bridesmaids are kind of chasing Madison Rayne, but then it ends up being all in her head, right? So now you're furthering that Su Yung, Madison Rayne story without having them there physically, so the fans don't get burnt out watching these people each and every week. The number one complaint that I hear online from wrestling fans is so-and-so is on the TV every single week. That's why we're sick of them. Well, we are fortunate to have enough people on the roster, enough talented people on the roster, and a great production team in Impact here that you can further stories without having people. They don't need to be on your television every week. We don't want to see them each and every week, right? We don't want to get bored of them. We don't want to see the same thing all the time. We want variety as wrestling fans. And truth be told, I'm absolutely blown away by the variety that they show continuously from show to show, and more specifically in this show itself. And I haven't even touched on possibly my favorite part of the show. If you guys missed it, you have to go back and watch it. Maybe you hit the fast forward button or whatever, but watch the Killer Cross vignette. That is absolutely bone chilling and is just absolute perfection. If you are trying to showcase this guy as an absolute psychopath and like what is he going to do next, or like what is he about, watch this promo. Watch the conviction in his eyes. Watch the way he enunciates himself. The way that he presents himself is incredible. And I will say that we're on like I'm going to say 3-month run of every single promo, every single vignette that they are running, that the wrestlers are doing, is dynamite. And you can tell that everybody on the roster is all in. Not to, coin the term because it's a bit overused, especially now, but you can just tell that they are invested. They want to be there, right? They want their characters to be memorable. They want the input into what they're doing, and it's just such a treat for us to watch at home because you can feel it, right? This is tangible, and it gets you invested. So coming up on a Slammiversary, you're not just kind of looking at one match. Maybe this one match will be good, right? There are, as of right now, about 8 matches on the card. Any one of those matches could be match of the night quality. Like, that's insane. But it's how they've positioned themselves, the company, and how the wrestlers have positioned themselves as characters and getting themselves over and really going above and beyond to make this thing something special, and you can see it each and every week. So once again, hats off to Impact Wrestling, and most importantly the wrestlers for buying in and really making this thing something special. Like I said, this week was about as close to out of the park home run as you could get. Like I said, what more could you ask for in a wrestling show? This tonight had it all. Last week was incredible. This week was incredible on a different level, and I was sold on Slammiversary last week. I'm like oversold after tonight's events. Kudos to everyone, and I am extremely, extremely looking forward to a Slammiversary coming up. So just something else I wanted to touch on before I get out of here for tonight, or do my outro as I usually do. I was humming and hawing, going back and forth if I was going to touch on this or not, but the more I thought about it, the more it really pissed me off, and I know a lot of you like when I kind of rip into something, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's in regards to other content providers. And I'm not talking specifically podcasters. I'm talking about people on Twitter or these Facebook groups or YouTube videos. And I'm sure that most of you have heard this incident between Taylor Hendricks and Jay Lethal. I'm not going to get into that per se. I'm just using it as a reference point, and I want to make this perfectly clear that I am not taking any side in this. As far as I'm concerned, that's a private matter that needs to be sorted out between those two. It doesn't need to be done in a public forum, if you will, as Twitter. But what I want to talk about is these cockroach fucking goofs that come out of the woodwork that will exploit a situation like this in a vain attempt to try and either gain followers or subscriptions or a couple of extra clicks on their YouTube page. Sorry, I'm probably going to trip over myself a little bit because shit like this really pisses me off, and I'm going to tell you why. So, in this particular instance, an allegation is made, right? Whether or not it should have been done in public is not really here nor there. Then you have all of these goddamn troglodytes coming out of the fucking woodwork, posting up YouTube videos of, I have an exclusive on the information, or I have a second witness, or I have a new victim that's come forward. And then I'm not going to talk about who these people are, because in my opinion, they should be skewered and left out in the sun. I'm not going to give them any more play, right? They don't deserve it. What they're doing is a lot of them are creating fake accounts on Twitter or Facebook or whatever of fictitious people who are messaging them details on said person, whether it's Taylor or Jay. Again, I'm just using these two people as points of reference. I'm not saying them specifically have or have not engaged or will engage in this type of behavior. So they will go ahead and create now a video essentially trying to say that, this person's come forward to me, here's my proof, in one way or another in regards to this situation. So not only are you interjecting yourself in something that you should be staying the fuck out of, personally, and any other way, any way you slice it, really, but now you're actually creating fictitious and false information, and we all know how the social media world works. It's trial by Twitter, right? Nobody's innocent anymore. There is no innocent until proven guilty. There is no anything, right? Once it's on Twitter, it's out there. Or once it's on YouTube, you get 3 people look at it, which turns to 6, which turns to 20, which turns to 100, and you exponentially can multiply this thing and cause irreparable damage very, very quickly by these outlandish, ridiculous bullshit videos by these goddamn cockroaches who, by the way, the majority of the time are not wrestling fans at all. They just recognize that wrestling fans want to be in the know. And it's true. That's not a bad thing either, right? Wrestling fans forever have wanted to know, what's going on. They want the peek behind the curtain, right? And you have pieces of trash like this that can exploit a situation like that to try and make a couple of bucks on. It's absolutely disgusting. And the worst part of it all is that they never get any comeuppance. Nothing ever happens to them. They never get sued. They never get taken to court. They never get shut down. They are continuing to purvey this false, whatever you want to call it. It's insane. They're allowed to continue it. They don't get anything shut down on YouTube. They don't get their Twitters taken away. That nothing happens. So they can continually do bullshit like this to unfortunately sucker people in to watch their videos, therefore creating more views, therefore exponentially increasing the amount of bullshit that gets out there. And to me, it's sickening. I will say this right now. There is nobody on my Twitter account or, as far as I know, on my YouTube page that engages in such behavior. If there are, or were, or are in the future, they will be summarily reported and blocked. I am not dealing with bullshit like that. And I would say that it's kind of up to all of us as a wrestling fan community to kind of point this bullshit out and call it out and report these fucking people, because once you tarnish somebody's career, they can never get it back. Bullshit or not, and most of the times it is bullshit, they can never recover. Case in point, look at Rich Swann, right? The whole thing that was reported between him and Su Yung turned out to be nothing, but still, any given day you can go on Twitter, you can look at his mentions, and there's going to be some jabroni troglodyte who said, oh, why do you have a job? Because you yada yada yada, right? Perpetuating a false story. Unfortunately, he's probably going to be living with that for the rest of his wrestling career, which is all it's all predicated by these fucking goofs that are just, they have no care about the individual. They have no care about the repercussions. They have no care about the damage that they're doing. All they care about is getting their 1,000 likes or views or whatever, so they can make 50 cents on a fucking YouTube video. Fuck off. If that's you, fuck off. And I'm sorry for the language, but it really pissed me off. And I'm kind of speaking from personal experience here. Obviously not that I'm any type of well-known personality, and I never will be, let's be honest here, but there was a time years ago where I had somebody spreading malicious information about me and essentially, trying to ruin my reputation in terms of my professional and personal life. Luckily, people saw through it and it didn't really go anywhere, but it was insane how fast it would spread, right? Within 1 week, one person turned to 50, right? Then my phone's blowing up, and this is like well before the real boom of social media, right? This is before like anybody can put something out on Twitter and it's picked up by, and I'm not saying that my story would have been, but how fast something can be picked up by multiple people and spread and further, what's the word I'm looking for? Further used, weaponized to hurt this person. It's incredible. So I know, personally speaking, how much it hurts, right? It hurts your character. It's hard to recover from. Luckily, mine is not as bad, and I am not a public figure like wrestlers are, who are easy targets because they have so many followers, and because people want to be in the know, and because wrestling fans actually care about these people, and they want to be involved in the inner workings. So my long story short, and sorry that there's a lot of language in this rant, but like, Jesus Christ, wrestling fans, we need to do a better job of Xing these people out of our business and out of the wrestling business. So I would highly suggest, because I'm doing it myself when I see it, I would suggest to you as well, the listener, if you're seeing this type of behavior, this type of predatory action, and this type of absolute bullshit being predicated by and used by and further manipulated by these fucking goofs, report them. Let's get them the fuck out of here. They're not wrestling fans. They're nobodies. They should be nobodies. They're just trolls. Let's get rid of them. Go under a bridge, hide under a fucking rock, stay there, fuck off, leave the real wrestling fans alone. Now that I've said all that, I will move into the closing part of the show. So, once again, thank you to all of our new YouTube subscribers. Thanks to everybody on Twitter. We are well over 1,000 followers on Twitter, which is incredible as well, considering I'm only 6-7 months into this whole thing. And it's mind-boggling. Once again, big congratulations to my boy, Robert Does Wrestling, 300 subscribers. That's a big plus. I'm going to have his Twitter handle at the first tweet that I send out in regards to this show. I had meant to say, and I did say that before, but I'm just reiterating, as well as my good friends at Just Because Wrestling. So make sure, if you have not, go check each of them out. What can I say? Just great people that I have great interaction with, and they are really doing a good job Robert specifically for the Impact Wrestling community, just because wrestling, they cover WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor, What Culture, ICW. They're all over the map. They're super knowledgeable, and they're just a real treat to listen to because they actually care. So make sure you go ahead and give them all a follow. Speaking of which, if you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, use that wonderful search bar. Type in Six Sided Podcast, you'll find us. Do us a favor, do me a favor, I should say. I don't know why I'm speaking like The Rock, but yeah, the Taxman says what you're going to do is you're going to go onto that YouTube page. You're going to scroll through those videos. You're going to click on the ones you haven't watched before, and you're going to go through them, and my God, you're going to enjoy yourself. Well, hopefully you're going to enjoy yourself. But in all seriousness, subscribe to us on YouTube. It really makes a world of difference. You can find us on Twitter at 6_podcast. You can also find us www.wrestlingwithwrestling.com, the best one-stop shop for all your wrestling-related news, interviews, and the like. And if you ever want, you can shoot me some critiquing, criticism, positive feedback, negative feedback, whatever. Questions, comments, concerns. Hit me up on Gmail. sixsidepod@gmail.com. That's all letters, no numbers or gimmicks in there, as usual. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the show. Like I said, outside of my little rant there, I really enjoyed this week. And next week I have something special lined up. I don't want to give too much away, but I have a suspicion that you guys are going to really enjoy it. So with that being said, I am once again your host, the Taxman, saying, take care of yourselves and each other. Good night, everyone.